special guest, Max Key. And we're just going to jump right into this. Where does life take off for you? Where does it start?
Well, first off, thanks for having me. Yeah, this is really cool. I'm excited about this. So like where it started? All right.
Where does life take place?
Life takes place for me now in a good place, very good place, and I think a lot of that is mentality. You know. So I grew up here in Sandusky. We went here from the beginning a little bit. I grew up here in Sandusky. I had a great mom, brother. He is 4 years younger than I am. And we had it was an interesting life growing up. You know, like you'll probably hear me talk a lot about my sobriety as one of the biggest things. And I remember my first drink ever being 6 years old. And I remember it very vividly. You know, I remember I was playing baseball with my dad, you know, playing catch out front, and I was tired. He went into the bathroom, and I said, you know, I'm like, I need to have I'm thirsty, you know. My dad had a McDonald's cup, and us alcoholics, we don't tend to have what's in the cup that says on the label on the outside. So,
What's in the cup?
yeah, what is it, you know? So I go and I take this huge drink thinking it's Sprite or something, you know, and it ends up being beer. So my throat starts burning, you know, and it's all I'm thinking of is I need to get some milk. You know, that's going to solve everything right now. Yeah. So I run in and I go and get some, and after it's gone, I start to feel this euphoric feeling. And I'm like, so that's why, you know, Dad's acting the way he is a little bit, you know.
He's a little loose because of this reason.
Yeah, you know, it's I kind of like this feeling, you know. So I didn't drink from 6 on, but I did look for different things to, like, distract myself.
To kind of get that same feeling that you had.
Yeah, something to just ignore any issue, to the point of I was, like, blacking out just naturally. Like, if my mom said, hey, pick up your toys, like, well, nope. I'm not here, I'm blacking out the issue, you know, or eat too much candy, or, you know.
When you say you're blacking out, were you just like distracted more? Like,
Mm-hmm.
were you like deep in thought? What was
It was deep denial, I'd say, you know what I mean, to the point of, like, just pretending I wasn't there. So, you know, maybe not physically blacking out, but, like, locking out, I guess would be a good way to put it, too, you know.
It wasn't in the moment.
It wasn't in the moment. You know, anything mildly uncomfortable, I was out of the moment, you know.
What did you have to do to, like, get yourself in the moment? What was your...
I really didn't until, like, I was 21 when I got sober. You know what I mean? Like, so basically that was just my habits from a child all the way growing up, you know, because I was doing that, and I was also, my dad left, he went to prison during most of my childhood. You know, we have a fantastic relationship now, he's great, you know, but at that time it was just me, my mom, and my little brother. So I went into, like, adult mode, dad mode, like I have to take care of the family.
Like what age would you say?
This was around 6.
About
Yeah,
6?
yep. So around that time. So at that age, I went directly into taking care of mom, you know, taking care of my brother.
Trying to make sure everything's right.
Yep. And I didn't get in trouble. like my mom would tell me, it's okay to get in trouble sometimes, you know, because you got to learn your lessons, you know. But I was like, if I do anything wrong, it's going to make my mom's life harder, so I'm not going to do it, you know. And so that's how it was for a while, until my brother could take care of himself when I hit junior high. And that's when I started saying, all right, well, it's my time to catch up now, you know. So that's when I started, like, experimenting with, like, marijuana and drinking and, you know, just trying it again here and there and stuff like that.
When you first started doing it, how did it feel right away? Did you feel that same feeling?
Yep.
When you tasted that first beer?
Mm-hmm.
You felt the same way?
Yep. Yeah, nailed it. I mean, that's what it was. And, you know, and before it was challenging to have that mentality because, I was trying to with any uncomfortable situation, and now I'm able to do it just by smoking a joint, or drinking a beer. So I'm like, all right, cool. And I was in all honors classes and everything, and so that's when it started to kind of dwindle, though,
Did it affect you at all with your studies at all, or did it help you improve?
It didn't help at all. I'd like to say it might have, but it really didn't,
The reason I say that is because a lot of people, are studying it. Like, does it help? Does it not? How do you feel about that?
About like marijuana?
Yeah.
And like I love this question because a lot of people get kind of touchy around me to bring it up. But I personally think it's amazing. I think, but it's a case-by-case basis when it comes to people in recovery. Like, for instance, I have certain mental illnesses like bipolar, anxiety. Those two alone, I can be prescribed medical marijuana, and it could probably work really well. But knowing myself, I have to do like a little extra of everything that I do. And if I smoke it or, use it and feel that feeling, it's not going to be enough for me. So I'm going to need to do more. And then I'm going to run out of my prescription. And then I'm going to buy some off the street. And
It's really, you got to have the control.
Yes.
You discipline yourself, like, okay, this is the amount I'm using, and that's it.
Yep.
You cut yourself off.
And just being aware of like the control that you have, you know what I mean? Hey, if I smoke just this much, I can focus, it helps me, it makes me feel better, that's all I need. I don't have that switch, you know what I mean? So like I know that, and my weed bone's connected to my pill bone, that's connected to my alcohol bone, like I can't do anything, I know that, I've tried it before. So I think if you can do it, I think it's an amazing alternative to so many other medications that can be taken. And, and I had an aunt who basically, long story short, she had cancer. And she was on so many medications and everything, but she started smoking as an alternative. Complete turnaround. 180. Amazing. Super happy. Lived, a decent, happy, but pretty much painless life after that.
You said it helped her improve.
It helped her.
And feel a better.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm 100% supportive of it, but I think, if you just have to be aware of who you are. I know it wouldn't work for me the way my mind is. It would work, but work too good.
Now, who would you say shouldn't use it?
Shouldn't?
Yeah, shouldn't. Like, if it's, if they're just doing it to do it, what do you think about that?
That's a good question. Well, anyone that has any highly addictive personalities, I think we all have addictive personalities in some form or another, but mind-altering wise, and what's it doing to you? You might not have a problem, but if you, are choosing to smoke instead of, doing your homework, you know what I mean, or going out with friends, you'd rather just stay home and, watch a movie by yourself and not socialize because I smoke, I can entertain myself and not do anything. What's the quality of your life with it? I think that's the question, too.
When did it become, more in effect for you, though, do you think? Was it high school, or did it junior high? When did you start using more and start
It was in
getting into that phase?
high school. I would say freshman and sophomore year, I started using, kind of frequently, but junior year, I was on some sort of drug every single day.
Now, was it you're stressing and you just felt like I need this? Or what was going on?
It was probably a little bit of everything, you know what I mean? And everything, I'll be more elaborate, would be I don't want to feel stressed. I didn't have anything to be stressed about, but I didn't even give myself a chance to be stressed.
So you're saying it was helping you with your stress, your anxiety, or being all the above, pretty much?
And all of the mental issues that I was afraid to deal with, my anxiety, bipolar, anger issues, if I was using, none of that was becoming elaborate. I kind of numbed it or shaded it, which is why people use drugs and alcohol, as addicts, So I was just doing that instead of dealing with it. But, if you put this bubble over it and you don't deal with them, they grow.
Yeah, eventually in time. It's gonna pile up and it's gonna come out.
Well, and that bubble needs to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So that's tolerance. So instead of like, I only need 2 beers, now I need a 6-pack. Now I need a 12-pack, because these problems are growing. I gotta numb them rather than dealing with them. And I was not doing that.
And like when you were in those situations, when you were like at a party or something, did you ever just feel like an inner voice inside you saying, "Come on, man, this ain't you. Step away from this."
The whole time, and I think that's another thing. Part of that underneath bubble, it was a voice of like, "Hey, stop doing this." So I had to drink more before that voice started becoming louder.
So you're drinking to this silence.
Yeah.
Because, from my own experience, I had that too. Where I would go out, party, get to that point and be drinking and start feeling that buzz. And anybody that's felt that buzz, they know it feels good.
Yeah.
And you're like, yep. Yeah. But then that inner voice always gets inside and you're like, shut up. No, I'm not listening to you. But that voice is saying, come on, man. What are you doing? You're better than this. Put that down.
Yep.
You don't know if that's doing to you.
Yep.
I guess, there's so much better things for you to do out here than to do this.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of honestly how I always felt whenever I'd have a drink or, smoke. I never felt like, what a lot of people would, where I felt good and I felt relaxed. I always felt like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
This is the me. And then, like, it got to a point, like, I think I was probably about 23, where I just said, I'm done. I'm stepping away. And since then, man, it's been an incredible show. It's been amazing. Life has just gone in a completely different direction. I've lost, a couple of friends, good friends.
Yeah.
But, you're going to get that in life. Anybody that's listening right now, you're going to hit that fork in the road. And it's gonna lead you in a different direction. And at first it's not gonna make much sense. But in the long run, when you look back to it, you're gonna be thankful you did it.
It's a complete change around, especially at like 23. And I guess over at 21. That's a odd thing in our culture, which I hope changes, because if you think about it, like if someone says, hey, do you want a cigarette? And you say, I don't smoke. They'll be like, okay, cool. Like, hey, do you want a drink? No, I don't drink. What? You don't drink? Like that's a weird thing. Like, why does that have to be?
I think really comes down to just like what you're watching, what you're pretty much programming yourself and taking in. And I mean, during our time, we had American Pie, and that was, if anybody's seen that, that's a big time. I mean, that pretty much tells you, like, okay, go out, party, have fun.
Yeah.
And I think really that's what it is. The movies you're watching, whatever TV show you're on, whatever you're programming yourself, whatever you're taking in, pretty much, it's like, that's brainwashing you, pretty much. And that's what happens. I believe happens to a lot of people. People think it's cool. And I'm not knocking anybody that's out there right now that's doing it.
Yeah.
You're coming around, but.
Well, and that's the thing is like it's not forming yourself to like this vision of what's being shown, but like being okay with yourself, being happy with yourself. And then any action after that, you're not going to feel that feeling anymore. Because, I know, like my wife, for instance, she can go out and have 2 drinks, a drink, and be done and be fine and not need any more and be happy and content. I can't do that. She doesn't have that feeling of I need to drink, to feel, not even an addictive personality, to feel comfortable, to feel normal. It's just part of it. So, because she's cool with herself, she knows herself.
Discipline.
Yeah, discipline. That I don't have for drugs and alcohol when I use them, but for everything else, I do.
Yeah, so, like, when you have it, it just takes over. You're like, I gotta have more.
Yeah. Well, there's no such thing as one beer for me. You know, I've tried it. And because, like, say if this cappuccino right here was a beer, you know, or something, and this is why I have this tattoo here. It's a recovery tattoo of the night I almost died.
Can you describe the tattoo?
Yes, yeah, right, podcast. Well, it's a skull, and it's got a crack down the frontal part there, in the frontal, where the frontal lobe of the cortex is. So the front of the skull has a crack that's an EKG line, and that's from a night that I almost died from alcohol poisoning, which I can tell you about that too. That'll probably help that situation. But it's a skull with a crack down the front. The eyes are red in the skull because my eyes were red when I was drinking. The rose is for recovery. There's a bottle in the back here to remind me of what's always back there. And each bottle, which I need another one, is a year of sobriety. So I have 7 years of sobriety now.
That's really cool.
So, but the reason I got it on my forearm, like right by my hand there, is because if I go to grab something, I can like, oh yeah.
Wait a minute.
But anyway, so if I were to grab a beer like this, by the time I like get it to my lips, I would start thinking, all right, how much money do I have? How much beer do I have for the rest of the night? I might as well keep drinking because my sobriety date's changed now. So I'm not going to enjoy it. It's stressful. It's planning. It's just 0 to 100. So like, it's not worth it.
And I think you've come so far that even if you were to slip up and make that mistake, I think really it would eat you.
Yeah.
Because you've come so far.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got it on your arm.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah.
Well, and I think that's where that one day at a time comes along. And that's a big part of my book is, it's not just for people in recovery. It's that one day at a time mentality isn't just a sobriety thing. I mean, you're experiencing it yourself. You were talking about the law of attraction a little bit. You know what I mean? It's enjoying that long-term goal now. It's embracing what we can do today, because today is literally the only time right now that we can make any changes in our life, is this moment right now. And I think so many people forget that. They're worried about the past. Oh, what did I do? What are my goals in the future? Am I going to stay sober the rest of my life? I don't know if I'm going to stay sober the rest of my life. That's the plan. But all I know is I'm going to stay sober today. And that's it. I can do that. I've had friends die from overdose. One of my best friends, Max, that I talk about all the time, he died, and I didn't use over that. You know what I mean? There was a thought in my head, but that's a natural thing for us addicts to do. But I know I can go 24 hours without using today. That's all I have to worry about, So, and that's worked for 7 years. So I'm going to keep that habit up and just go from there.
Can you describe what it was like versus giving it all up completely?
So, like, completely just done with everything.
Just done with it.
It was weird. I hated it, to be honest.
Just detail, how was it?
Yeah, well,
for somebody that's, what I'm trying to say, like for somebody that's trying to kick it and they're going through the same stuff, I would give them a feel.
It's okay to be scared. That's one huge thing. This is not a comfortable thing to do. There's no perfect time to do it. And I'm not saying that to discourage you, but with that being an obvious thing, you might as well start now. If it's not going to be comfortable, if there's no perfect time, let's start today, 1. And 2, there's that adaptation of using every day, because I was drinking every day, gallon of vodka a day, like heavy drinking, to the point of kind of where this story came in. I was drinking to where I started blacking out. It wasn't like as a kid ignoring, I was blacking out. Like, see, because when you're drinking, it's like a shower head of alcohol in the frontal lobe of your brain. And that's where your short-term memory is. So you're drinking, you damage it, and that's why you only forget the night before. So, but if you don't let it heal, it becomes easier to black out. So if it takes 6 beers to black out, it's going to take closer to 3 next time because you're not healing your brain. So I was blacking out almost every day at this point, you know.
And you're saying you were going through like 6 packs, and I mean you were just drinking until you passed out.
Yeah, vodka, it got to the point of just vodka, you know, and orange Fanta. I couldn't drink orange Fanta the first year of my sobriety because that's what I mixed my vodka with. But it got to that point where I blacked out, and it was a regular day. I called off work, and I blacked out, but this time I woke up in the intensive care unit in the hospital, and I had no idea how I got there. They told me I swallowed a whole bottle of antidepressants. I don't remember taking them. I got kicked out of the car. I was in the parking garage. I threw all the pills up that I swallowed. Otherwise, I would have died.
Your body rejected it.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God. And they told me my blood alcohol level was 0.36, which is the level of surgical anesthesia. So they could have done surgery on me. Onset of a coma, possibly. And this was every day. So I end up, you know, waking up with family all around me. Nina, my girlfriend, who's my wife now, was pregnant with our daughter at the time. She's like, I'm going to be a single mom, I guess. I don't know. Like, this dude what is going on? So I'm terrified, and I don't know how to handle it, you know. So the very next day they let me out, I don't know how to handle it, so you could take a wild guess what I did.
You went kind of back to it.
Yeah, I went and got another bottle of vodka, and then drank, blacked out, in the intensive care unit the very next day.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, and that's when, like, nobody was, my mom, my uncle, and my dad was on his way from Columbus to come pick me up at that point, you know. So nobody else was there. They were pretty much grieving. Like, all right, well, he's gonna die. What are we gonna do?
You're saying they pretty much gave up on you, no?
They didn't give up. They were more like preparing for something that may very well happen, you know.
So who stepped in?
My dad came down from Columbus, and that's who I told when he got there, I'm going with you to get treatment. Me and him had a great relationship at this point, and still do, you know. I need to get treatment. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I finally surrendered. And surrender is a big part of recovery, big part of life. We need to surrender and accept, you know, everything. So I went and got treatment in Columbus, and that brings to that first stage of what you're asking me about, what was it like? I didn't like it. It was boring. I hated it. I had to deal with my feelings. This is stupid. You know, that was my thoughts.
So when the urge came up, what were you doing in that situation? How did you distract your mind from not doing, you know?
Well, my dad didn't let me leave because I wanted to go and drink or something. You know what I mean? But he wouldn't let me go do it. So, I mean, that was a beautiful thing on his part.
Supervision for you?
Yeah. Well, it was IOP, which is like 3 groups a week and individuals a week, but I would stay with my dad. So it was basically like residential, like rehab. So but there was 2 things that happened that switched my mentality towards things. Because, you know, when you get urges, if you're not sick and tired of being sick and tired of this, you're not going to change, you know. So, one, I had a bolus. Are we good on time? Are we good on time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's 2 things. Okay, cool. There was 2 things. One was a bowl of cereal, and one was something Nina said to me. And I'll start with what Nina said to me. I told her, you know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, you know, get sober for us. Because I've attempted, and I'm quoting right now sarcastically, sobriety. You know, it was pretty much going to meetings, but I would drink at the, you know, before the meetings, and I wouldn't pay attention and stuff like that. So she's heard this before, you know. So I said, you know, I'm going to do this for us. And she said, dude, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. We're not together. I'm like, oh. You know, okay, you know, and she was right. She shouldn't have been with me, you know. So we ended up splitting up. I said, you're right. So I started focusing on me. And that started my thinking a little differently, you know.
When you guys did split in that moment, did it finally hit home to you, or did you kind of?
I literally got knocked down. I fell set to the bed when I was reading it. Yeah, and it was that realization. I couldn't be in denial about our relationship anymore, because it was over. It was done. And then that really hit me, and I started thinking about she's right. What the hell am I doing? I really started thinking about it. So it saved my life, really. That woman saved my life.
Yeah,
she's the
best.
That's
the blessing of it. She knew what she was doing.
She knew what she was doing. Well, and she was so confident in it. When she said it, it was on Messenger. But I talked to her later. She was crying as she was doing it. It was really hard for her to do that, But she had to do it.
Well, that's the thing, with text messages and Messenger and all that stuff. It's kind of a blind spot. You don't know the true emotion behind.
No.
But you said you thought it was just words, but she was actually crying.
In a way, that was probably the best thing, because if she was in person, I could have manipulated and, put puppy dog eyes on or something, or, you know what I mean? Tried to change but it was straightforward. We're done, Good luck to you.
It's the best.
Yeah. So that happened. We ended up getting back together 2 weeks later, but it was still me number one, my recovery number one, over everything, and it still is today, above my kids. And I say that because, I'd be lying if my kids weren't motivation. Absolutely not. But if I say, I'm doing this for you guys, I'm doing this for you, and I relapse, they're going to say, what did I do wrong? If you're doing it for me, what the hell did I do? So all they want is a happy dad. They want a happy dad, and for me to do that, I got to be sober. So that's why my sobriety has to be top.
Do you when you think about it, when you put it like that, I should say, do you see it from your kids' eyes? Do you look at it like how when you were at their age? I don't want them to feel that way like how I did.
Every day, every single day, I think about that, and that's a really big part of my gratitude. And I've been very, very connected to my higher power recently. The past few months, I've been really talking to the God of my understanding. Talking to God, praying, everything, and realizing all the gratitude involved in that, and the less stress to be able to, hey, take this from me. I don't know how to handle it right now. But I do, I think about it every day, and I try and spend a moment with them every day, whether it's at least 15 minutes.
When you go back to that night, and they were telling you we're throwing it back up, and you said you reached the higher power, do you feel like that was the higher power saying, hey, I'm not finished with you yet.
Yeah.
We're going to get you through this. We're going to get, this stuff's got to go. I'm going to help you out.
I 100% think that's what it was, And I was very stubborn against spirituality, because as a kid, I got kicked out of church a couple times for asking questions. I asked, about Jesus walking on water or something, or, and I was honestly curious. And they told me, don't ask questions. You're supposed to just believe it. I'm like, boy, I just want to know, some things, what I mean about it. And they just kept kicking me out. And I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. This is a kid,
But of course, you're going to have questions.
Yeah.
You get around the right teachers, though.
Yeah.
I answer those questions for you.
Well, my sponsor's a reverend, and he answered all of them.
It was what questions I could answer?
All of them, with just to a T. And he's a reverend, and he's gay as well. And he has this, he has this strength about him, that is surreal. Reverend Joe, he won't mind me talking about it. He's.
Where can we find Reverend Joe?
Reverend Joe, he's in New Jersey.
If anybody wants to meet him, get to know Reverend Joe.
He has an Instagram, and I don't know what it would be. Could you add it to the description?
I can put it out there.
Okay, I'll do that. Because he's a straightforward guy. Like if I start saying something, you know, and it's like the other day, for instance, I was like on a meeting call with him, and I was getting mad because Nina was texting me, you know, and he's like, so you think that you are more important than what your wife might have to say to you right now? And I'm like, you're right, you know, like he calls me out, you know, and here it was, hey, you know, I need to go pick up Romeo or something like that, you know, like something important. So he calls me out. But yeah, I'll connect him over there. But he's been a very high strength for me, for sure.
And that's another thing that we could hit on another time, but when it comes to that ego, you know, but that's for another time.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest things, you know, and I love working on it, you know. I love working on new things, so, you know.
So when was it finally done?
So after I completed IOP in Columbus, they recommended I go to continuing care in Sandusky and at Bayshore Counseling, and I didn't go. I went 4 months and said, I can have one, I'll be all right, and I went and got Bud Light Platinums were my thing, because they were the highest level alcohol beer, whatever, you know. So I drive over to a recycling place where I was like, nobody will find me. It's like, well, one, why are you hiding if it's not a problem? So, okay. I drink 2 of those. I started feeling that same euphoric feeling I did when I was 6. And I said, I can't do this. I know where this is going. I can't do it. And that was February 27th of 2014. So that was 7 years ago. It'll be 8, you know, this February, you know. Knock on wood. There's some wood right there.
There ain't no knocking on wood, man. You got it.
Well, see, I don't know. You know, I got it today. You know that I can't let it get any further than that, because that's when the warning. Because if I say I got this tomorrow, I'm not going to be on my A game today, and today's the only time I have any control over anything. So I gotta stick. I always tell people, like, I don't tell a lot of people how long I've been sober for. I usually ask, like, if someone's in early recovery, what time did you get up this morning? You know, if they say 7 and I say 8, I say you have 1 more hour of recovery than I do, because we're just doing it today, and that's where I like to be.
1 day at a time.
Yes, it has to be.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's a good strategy. And, I mean, the person that's listening, take it in. 1 day at a time.
It's for everything. It's for just being positive today. I have 2 more books that I'm writing, The Proud Addict 2 and Recovery for Everyone Else. Recovery for Everyone Else are the same chapter titles, but it's worded, instead of drug use, negative thinking. So, you know, using it as like any situation that is a chapter in the book, instead of saying I'm going to go use, it could be I'm going to procrastinate instead. Or I'm going to think negatively and not believe in myself. Just as dangerous as drug use, just as detrimental. Yeah, you know, so someone can read Recovery for Everyone Else at the same time as maybe a family member or addict is reading The Proud Addict, and go along together and build together. And so that's the idea. Because, you know, recovery is just life. You know, that's all it is.
Since you talked about the 2 new books that are coming out, let's jump into that. The book that you actually have out.
I haven't talked about this too much yet, so this is good. This is good.
This is the first.
yeah. So yeah, I have 0 idea when this is gonna happen. You know what I mean? I'm hoping by maybe the end of 2022 we'll have one of the other books out. I'm also working on a horror suspense novel as well, which is just fun.
All over the place.
Well, I have to be doing something, you know.
Keep yourself.
Yeah, but the way I write is, you know, I don't rush anything. You know, if I have an idea or I have an inspirational conversation, or, you know, then I'll write something down and I just have it ready to go when needed, you know. So I'd say by the end of 2022. Maybe this will get me to actually go write some more.
Yeah. Where can they find your first book at?
It's on Amazon. So that's generally the most affordable place to get it off of. You know, and I will say I have made zero money on the book, only because 100% of the proceeds go back into giving books away to people in need. Because I work at Recovery Institute of Ohio, Rio, and I do groups and individual counseling, and I try and have books on hand, for people. So I've given a lot of books away. I want to give more, but that's the way it is.
At the place you work, do you guys get into your book at all? Do you read it? Or?
Yeah, and not even like intentionally for myself. The support I get, for it has been surreal. Hearing some people telling me that, listen, your book made me choose to get, so I'm getting chills right now. You know what I mean? To hear that is surreal, because it's just me, it's just my life. I brought a book for you, by the way, so you can check out if you want. Well, it's only 99 pages. There's 20 chapters, you know what I mean?
Reading that in like 2 days.
Well, the thing is I wrote it for people with instant gratification. I want it now. So the chapters are only like a page and a half, 2 pages, 3 tops.
Okay.
So because when I wrote it, I wrote down the main idea, what I want. Okay, let's move on. Done with all the ideas. Let's go back and fill it. But I was like, I'm just faking it. What am I filling it for? So I said, it's time. So it's made it's straight to the point. You get the idea. I recommend people read a chapter, put it down, and reflect on that chapter for the book.
What will the reader get out of it? What is
There's a lot of different, it's just kind of rerouting perspective into being proud of who you are. You know what I mean? Proud can be a negative thing. Pride can be a negative thing, but it's what you're proud of. I'm proud of my vulnerability. I'm proud to say, if I don't know how to do something, hey, I need help. You know what I mean? I'm proud to say when I'm wrong. So but I'm proud that I've done this so far. I feel good about it. We should feel like a warrior that we got through today and we just kicked today's ass, rather than you're stuck with this the rest of your life. If I wasn't an addict, I don't think I would have the dreams I have, because of the contrast of being homeless in a car, almost dying, freezing to death, to now. I'm talking to you about a book. If you would have told myself when I was homeless that I'd be, on a podcast right now talking about my recovery, I'd say you're nuts. But that's what it gave me, So.
And like at this moment, you said you're getting chills just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah. It's surreal, and I'm not stopping. There's no stopping me now. So I think I owe it to myself, that I got through all the things I did, and now I owe it to my kids to be able to show, you can put your mind to something and do it. That's my responsibility,
Don't forget your wife.
My wife is the most amazing person I've ever met in my entire life. Yes. Yes. So, she's my rock, man. It's, we call each other out. If I'm not as motivated to do something, she knows it, and she'll push me to move forward, Or, because I left my job over at Bayshore that I was working at, because it was just not a good, it wasn't working. The services they provide are amazing. They have a great crew, everything. It's just, there was so much on my plate. It got to the level if I continued to work there, because I was doing, assessments, groups, working in the jail, doing assessments there, doing case management, which is a lot of work on itself, all doing 80 hours of work in a 40-hour work week.
Yeah, let's kind of dig into that. When you started getting into counseling and stuff, how was it with your first person that you...
Ooh, that was tough. My first person I ever got and started helping committed suicide like 3 days later. Yeah. And it was very tough. You know what I mean? And I just like, I don't know if I could do this. You know, like.
I mean, I'm just thinking that myself, like, just starting off and your first verse, you know, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Where this guy is, or later. But,
yeah. Well, and that's the thing is that I've had to learn is it's part of that life, you know, like it's, you know, things like that happen, and I thought it was my fault, you know, and that's such a common thing with counselors and everything like that. And no matter how long you've done it, you still have a feeling of what could I have done, you know, and so I almost left right away, but I got talked into my coworkers to keep going because they knew my story. And you know, I was 2 years sober before I got into being a counselor, you know.
Now, would you say, like, after that, the first thing, did it make you want to jump back into it? Because you're just not, you know, you're feeling down? Or...
As far as, like wanting to go use and stuff like that again? No, like, I'd say after my first year in recovery, I was dead set. I'll never say I won't, because, you know, that means I'm going to get too cocky over my sobriety, you know what I mean? Like, I just, you know, I let's just say I have enough tools now to be able to cope with things that I don't have to use anymore, you know, and so that wasn't necessarily a worry at the time, but I still know it's an option. It's way down the line. I have a lot more to choose from now, but I got back into it, and I loved it, and I still love it to this day. It's something I need to do, you know.
Is it like you just feel like good about it? Or can you just kind of describe it? Like,
it's a interesting feeling because you're meeting new people all the time, and you have that connection of knowing exactly what they're thinking because you were there, which can be very frustrating at times because, like, I know you're lying to me. And one of my coworkers was my coworker at Bayshore Counseling. You know, she ended up kind of having me come in and speak at the place I'm working now just to speak. But here I kind of got roped into working there, you know, but we have the same mentality of brutal honesty. I don't waste time, you know. I'm going to let you know what I think is going on, and I'm going to be honest with you, and if I make you mad, that's okay. That usually means I'm saying the right thing, you know. So it takes a toll when it comes to that kind of stuff, but I don't mind doing it because it could be saving a life, you know.
Now, would you mind anybody reaching out to you? Like,
I will give you my number. I will give you my email. I would absolutely, you know, anybody. They say my number now. My number is 419-688-7248. You know, call me anytime. You know, and that's the thing is one of my rules is I don't call people to check on them generally. You know what I mean? I'm not going to work harder than they are. If you call me, we'll get coffee every day. I'll go to a meeting every day with you. We'll do everything we can to get things going. But you got to want it for yourself, you know. So
anybody that's out there right now, that you think you're just, this is not working for you. You want out, but you can't find a way out.
You gotta go out and look in.
Hit up Max.
Please do.
He cares about you.
I do. We're all a family, us addicts, man. You know, like, because you go to meet, like, at a meeting or something like that, and you have an instant feeling of, I really dig all these people. You know, I connect with all these people because we have that thought, and I have that with everybody. You know, but
just the connection.
Yeah.
Incredible thing, though.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, you get a lot of people that sometimes, you know, some people going in there, like you probably would say it, the first time you walk in there, you're looking at these people and like, you're like, they're just going to make fun of me.
Yeah.
Tell my story, you know. And like, how was it exactly though?
Well, I'd say, I remember, I'll talk about my first time in group counseling. which was the same kind of vibe as AA, you know what I mean? The first time I actually went in and opened my mind and said something, I sat down and I thought I was the only one with my problems. I was like, I'm the weird one. They're going to judge me, like you're saying. I had that feeling. But they went around and started speaking, and my jaw literally kept opening more and more and more, you know, just in shock of how much in common I had with everybody, all different ages, everything, you know. And that was when I was like, all right, you know, that was one of another eye-opening moments of, like, I'm not alone.
Would you say you just felt like in that moment, like, okay, this is it? Or did it take you like a couple times?
It was a little bit of that. Yeah, I would say it's like a fluctuation, like a roller coaster ride. That was an uphill. And then I went in denial for a couple hours, you know, like it's a tough battle, you know. But, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, if there is anyone struggling out there, you know, like as long as you don't use today, things are going to be all right. You're moving forward. Even if you don't do anything throughout the day, even if you just don't use for that day, you're still moving forward towards your successful life in recovery. You know, so that's another big thing.
Do you got any goals that you want to set for the...
Yes. I have a lot of goals, probably too many, and that's something that I'm working with my sponsor with, you know, because I told him I'm overwhelmed. He's like, well... You know, he gets pissed, you know, and his mannerisms are so funny, because he's a Sicilian man, small Sicilian man that just gets mad and threatens to hit me with a baseball bat, you know. He's like, so you're telling me you're writing a book, you're working full-time, you're starting a reptile business, you're in a band, and you're telling me you don't know why you're overwhelmed? Sounds to me it's pretty obvious, you know. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. How can you not be overwhelmed? So I have a balance now, you know, like for like my band, I play once a month.
Oh yeah, we almost forgot to jump into that.
Oh yeah.
The band.
Yeah.
Max is in a band. Let's talk about that.
Well, my band's called Half Knocked Out, you know, and the title is connected to my life in recovery. You know, I'm not fully knocked out. You know, I'm still halfway up. You know, and all my music is about my recovery, my past, my, you know, how I got through it, my attitude, the down times, you know. So it's something I love to do. Very much love to do.
Now, where can we find you performing at?
We are performing. We have a album release show, which I have not announced yet either. Yeah, another first on the podcast. Not that it's a crazy big, you know, like, oh, Half Knocked Out's playing, you know, but if you want to go, yeah, it'll be a Now That's Classed on January 28th. It's a Friday, and it's us, Private Instigators, and Kelsey Bad Grammar. And Private Instigators are a band. They're from Chicago. One of my favorite bands ever, and the fact that they're, you know, they want to be a part of it has been surreal, you know. And if you want to check them out, they're on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, you know, Private Instigators. And then Kelsey Bad Grammar, the lead singer, was our first fan of Half Knocked Out. Like, when we were nothing, first ever show, you know, we're still not something. I'm not saying we're big. We just play every once in a while, but he was, like, there, you know. He loved us, and so his band, Kelsey Bad Grammar, is opening for us, too. And they're a great band. You know, I love their music, too. They're a real new age, you know, pop-punk attitude. They're great. So,
where you guys performing that?
Now That's Class. It's in Cleveland. Yeah, which is something, if you just, like, Google it, you know, Now That's Class. But if you go to our band page at Half Knocked Out on Facebook, the event will be up very soon.
You heard it here first, though.
Yeah, you heard it here first, yeah.
Back to the goals.
Goals, right. Well, now, like I've said, I've managed my goals better now. You know what I mean? I still have my goal of, you know, continuing with my music. You know what I mean? writing my books, my reptile business. I want to open a reptile pet store. Reptiles have been a passion of mine for a long time, you know. And we have a YouTube channel for that, Dragon King Bioactive, if you want to check that out too. I do, and that's a big thing to be involved with my kids, because they love YouTube, and so we make videos together and, you know, have a good time and learn and, you know, just do something fun with the kids, you know. So, but ideally, I want to get into, merge my recovery life of being a counselor into owning a reptile store, but being involved with, like, helping people in recovery that way. I want to hire only felons. Like, you have bad pass required, mandatory, you know, like, to be able to help people that way. Be the reptile guy that goes to, like, kids that have been affected by active addiction. You know, kind of do it on my own terms, like, you know, move forward.
Now, do you have an idea for, like, how you're going to run this business with?
I have multiple business plans that I've, like, put together and, like, formed into, you know, having a good one. I'm working with Terra State Community College, their business section or whatever. They're working with me, giving me step-by-step guides on how to make it happen. So that probably won't be for another year or two, and I'm okay with that. I'm working on my credit.
Max, you got everything going on right now, man.
Yeah, well, the main thing is today, you know. Like, today, my only goal is to do this with you, which I was very excited about all day. It's an honor that you asked me. And after this, I'm going to watch The Grinch with my wife and kids, and that's the only goal that I have today. The Grinch, the one with Jim Carrey.
Best.
It was the best one. Someone the other day asked, you know, what's better? Who was better, Mike Myers and Cat in the Hat or Jim Carrey from The Grinch? Yeah, in my opinion, that there is no comparison. What are you talking about? Of course, The Grinch.
Cat in the Hat was okay, but I couldn't put it in the same sentence.
Yeah, I'm glad you feel that way. That's awesome. Because, yeah, it's by far way better. It's ridiculous.
The only thing besides Shrek.
Yeah.
Go back to Wayne's World.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Now, who had the better career?
Ooh, Jim
Carrey.
Jim Carrey, probably. Yeah, because he's still relevant.
I would say.
So where's Mike Myers at?
Well, that's what I was going to get into. I was just reading not too long ago that Jim Carrey, he's still around. He's still doing his thing and still making all his movies. Mike Myers kind of stepped away from the scene.
Yeah.
To raise his kids.
Well, and that's the thing, like, what was it for? You know, because the guy from, what's his name? From Honey, We Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, he did the same thing.
Yeah.
His wife passed away.
Right. He went into, and he was one of the best, funniest actors ever.
I was just talking to my dad about him the other day. The fact that he gets, like, the newest Ghostbusters movie that just came out, Afterlife. He got offered to be in that. He turns down a lot of stuff.
Wow.
He has been offered many, many times to do another Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
He's into that series.
Yeah.
And he's just not interested. I don't know.
Wow.
We're gonna have him on sometime.
yeah. Let's hit him up. Yeah. Well, from what I've read too, I mean, I think he just wants to be a family man. You know what I mean? I don't know enough to have a good judgment, but yeah, that's what I've heard. You know, he just wants to be a family man now. So I don't know.
I don't know if you heard, but when he first came out, he got knocked out. He was walking down the street. Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, he was just walking down the street, and at the time that was a popular. I don't know why. But it was a popular video where people were just knocking random people out, random strangers. And it happened to be Rick Moranis.
Oh my goodness.
He, like, the first time they see him out, it was like maybe 2 weeks after he came out and finally started becoming public again. All of a sudden.
Yeah. Wow.
There was a video that went viral over it. And,
what a jerk, man.
I think that happened a year or 2 ago.
So that was recent.
Yeah, it was not that long ago.
What is wrong with people?
Yeah, this is
There's a whole topic for podcasts.
Yeah,
you know.
That's what I was going to say.
Well, that instant fame is dangerous.
Yeah.
Dangerous. People will do whatever.
Well, let's get a little taste of that while we're still.
Yeah.
So, when you published your book,
Yeah.
was there instant fame? Or did you get people just from all sorts of life just coming?
Well, I had one thing cool that happened, and was I had this group reach out to me called the Sober Tribe, and they are awesome. It was right when COVID hit. I had a book tour scheduled, for multiple rehabs and stuff like that, ready to go, and then COVID happened, and it never happened. So I was so upset about it, But this other group reached out to me, Sober Tribe, and it's people from all over the U.S. and, Canada and, things. Yeah, someone from Ireland was on there, and they brought me on to speak about my book and everything, and so that was one thing that was really cool that, got in touch with this, and they reached out to me and I was able to get on and everything, and that was a really cool experience. But I've been very grounded and humble. Nothing crazy has happened, you know what I mean? And honestly, the fact that somebody wants to read it blows my mind. And that's an amazing thing, So anything more than that is just extra. So.
And kind of so what I did with my other people that I have had on, how does it feel just for it to come alive? Something that you thought of in your head, then wrote out, and now you're on podcasts, your book's out there, you're about to have 2 more. How does it feel?
That's really hard to describe. Amazing. I never thought I would get to a point in my life where I would have a normal job where I could, rather than writing books and, being something. It's a very humbling experience. And I think I'm honored to have the ability to help people. And the fact that I could do that on a larger scale with something I wrote is just an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling. Well, if that's what it is, I'm going to keep going. Whatever it is, I'm not stopping. And yeah. Well, I have to prove my strength to be able to help other people. And, me becoming stronger is to prove that I can push forward. I'm not going to just have one book. I'm going to keep going. I want to try and help as many people as I can,
Would you say how many books you plan on writing?
That's hard to say, yeah. Right now it's 3. But it probably will be more. Well, no, 4. I have a lot of ideas that could be books. Let's just put it that way.
Try to tap it.
Yeah.
Got the whole book and everything.
There's one that I started writing too. It's 100. I don't know if I want to say it. All right. It's 100 and how many? 182 phrases, motivational quotes you don't want to hear. And they're all quotes that are very blunt, honest, and are not nice. And it's something that you can read every day. For instance, one could be go to bed. That's what you're doing today, or something like that. I can't remember what the quotes were, but I have a large number of them.
Oh yeah, there's books that we're at BAM's Cap right now. I forgot
Yeah.
We're live at BAM Cap in Sandusky. Talk about books.
Yeah, right.
There's plenty. You go in the self-help section, the spiritual section.
Yeah.
You'll see books that say, "Fuck your feelings."
Yeah. Well, there's a book called F Yourself. And it's his name is Gary John Bishop. I love his books, man. That book and the War of Art were the 2 books that inspired me to have the blunt honesty in my book. Were those 2 books.
So you think that's what did it for you?
That's what kicked off the ability of having a shorter book and being okay with blunt honesty. Because I paid to publish my book. I had offers for, companies to pay me for it, but they wanted to change it. I said no. I'm not.
Word for word.
Yeah.
What I wrote.
Yeah, and it's worded the way I talk. It's not proper grammar, but it's just having a conversation, and that's the way, Gary John Bishop's book is. So he's a huge inspiration for me.
I would say being a reader too, I think that really helps the reader.
Yeah. I think so.
Because if you're like me, I imagine myself as being a character in the book, and I imagine like the book's speaking to me directly. And I'm seeing as just words on a page.
Yeah.
So I think the way you're going with how you're reading, or writing, I should say.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of how I like to. When in the book, there's certain times where I say like, put the book down.
I know.
And go get a notebook. You know what I mean? Or say out loud,
Oh, you have it like written in there?
Yeah, in there.
Write this down.
Yeah. I say like, all right, I'll wait. Put the book down.
I've seen books like that where it says, okay, pause right here. Think about this for a minute or write it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that. I mean, that itself is incredible.
Well, I like it, and I think to really get the gist, or like get people to be into what you're writing, write what you would enjoy, write what you would be into. It's the same thing with like YouTube content and stuff. Make what you would enjoy seeing, and that's what most people will want to watch. Not what do people want to see, like what do you want to see, what would you think is funny? Which I'm a dad, so like what I think's funny usually isn't funny to anybody, but the corny puns and things.
It's dad jokes.
My wife's eyes gotta be sore from rolling all day. From all the corny jokes. Like, oh, jeez. But,
Would you say you got any kids' books you're gonna write?
I don't know. My dad has kids' books that he wants to publish, which I keep pushing him to do. Which, if you're listening to this, Dad, maybe this is your motivator. No, not necessarily, but it'd be interesting to get into.
Maybe that's something you can do since you're already out here in the field. Maybe that's, you be your dad's motivator.
Yeah.
Actually, make it a dad-son.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, I can't say that because it's his word, but you can still help him.
Motivating them to do it, yeah. And I've had this discussion with him before, and I hope he's annoyed by me bringing this up because he needs to do it. They're good, they're really good, but it's just that next step into things, And as I try and do that with anybody I meet, I work at Target too. I close at Target and work on the weekends.
It's everywhere.
And I'm a therapist there. If somebody's shopping, I say, how's your day going? And they say, well, it's all right. I'm like, well, what's going on? I end up having a whole therapy session. Yeah. I love doing that though. So if I can motivate somebody, why not?
Don't you love that? It just comes naturally anymore.
My wife says all the time, like, how do you talk to people like that? Like, how are you so comfortable talking to people? Like, it just is who I am. It's who I am.
I ain't gonna hide it.
No.
I see somebody that's going through a situation, I'm gonna sit them down and try to talk to them.
Yeah.
See if I can help them.
And I can tell that you got that too. That's why this is going so smoothly. I think, so I think it's really cool you're doing this podcast stuff because, it's just,
And anybody that's listening, man, I want to know your story. And you might be thinking to yourself right in this moment, like, my story is not meant to be told. It's not meant to be heard. Everybody's got a story to be told.
Yes.
And that's the whole point of this podcast. You have an incredible story inside of you. And I want you on my podcast. So don't be afraid to message me. You could be the next one.
I like that. Well, I tell everybody that we could all write an autobiography, and it would be fascinating, and would be, you know what I mean? Like, because it's just that relatability. Everyone has a story.
Everybody has a story.
Everyone has feelings, you know? Like everyone, and we all have those same feelings, so.
Everybody's going through something.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's alone. Don't ever feel that way. You're not alone. You know, somebody's going through the same boat as you. And I mean, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to talk about it. That's what this world kind of makes us get in like a shell and make us hide or say it's not right to show your feelings, but that's completely false. You gotta show them. You know, let people know. I mean, I'd say let people know that you're comfortable with. Don't just be like being mad.
Hey, bro, you know, I'm sad. That might not even be a bad thing. I don't know.
I mean,
you know,
like, you could run into somebody like being Max and be like, okay, I'll talk to you. Let's see what's going on.
I love when people talk about their day with me, man. You know, I love when a problem comes along and they, you know, come talk to me about it. You know, it's I love to do that. I like to problem solve, you know, and that includes people's problems, you know, because it makes me feel good. That's not the purpose of doing it, but I feel enjoyment and happiness and joy when someone else changes their mentality.
And I'll add on to that. Steve Harvey said it. Les Brown said it. That's a good thing. The feel good. Because we need that. That's all part of life. That's all part of life.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. That's whatever. I talked about it in my group today. You know, they were talking about hobbies and like, well, that's kind of corny, and I started getting really mad. Like, if something brings you joy, who cares what anybody thinks? You know what I mean? Like, because like, say you want to. I got into yo-yoing when I first got into recovery. Love yo-yoing. I'm not good at it, but it was just something I got into. You know. And if someone came up to me and said, that's kind of corny, you know, or they were judging me for it, and I let that change my possibility of having regular enjoyment the rest of my life, like, you can't do that, man. You cannot do that.
And I might add to that, too. Another thing, like, stuff that you enjoy doing could be possibly what you're meant to do for your career.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't hide it.
Yeah.
It could possibly be your career move. It might sound silly to others, but then again, that's small-minded people, man. And like we were talking before about the higher power of God. It's written in the Bible, man. Your gift will take you places.
Well, and something to remember, too, adding on to that, I like this topic. If someone's trying to bring you down, that means you're up. You know, so the harder people are swinging, trying to get you down, the more people that are trying to bring you down, the higher you are, and the closer you are to succeeding. So you can almost thank them.
In other words, put it like this. When it comes to that situation, and people are trying to knock you to your knees, that means you're doing something right.
You can thank them. Thank you.
Say, thank you.
Yeah.
It's all a learning experience. And as life continues and goes on, you learn how to work with it. Yeah. Yep. Well, it's almost like they're kind of helping you guide into things, because that's like with writing my book. There was a lot of people that were like, you're probably not going to do it. It's harder than you think, and all that. And you know what I mean? I was like, to me, that was motivation, and it was almost brought me comfort to know, like, all right, I'm obviously doing something people are scared to do, and that's why they're coming at me and trying to bring me down. And a lot of people don't realize that, you know. And then, like, back to what I was saying, is like, when you do stuff, then people are going to knock you down. People are going to tell you, small-minded people that don't think like you are going to say stuff that's going to kind of make you feel away. But at the end of the day, like, once you start doing it, and once you accomplish it and get it out there into the world, then people are going to come back around and be like, dude, I'll take back what I said. And you're going to get that. So don't take it as hard feelings or anything like that. They just don't have the same mindset.
Yeah. Word. That's awesome. Well said. Mic drop. I do that in the book too. I think there's a part of it where it says cue mic drop. You know?
As we wrap this up, what else you got to say before we close the podcast?
I think a lot of really good things were said.
Place for a frost.
Mm-hmm.
Or your drinking water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think the bottom line, I think, is you just got to find what makes you happy. You know, and that could be who you're with, that could be the hobbies you're into, that could be, you know, whatever. Just find out, try new things, you know, experience, you know, your life and be honest with yourself, you know. So.
And like, okay, after hearing your story, I would say, man, what would you say? Like, I mean, I can't say that. What's your story? What would you say after it's all said and done? Like, after all the trials, after, you know, the ups and downs, you know, just going through it all. How do you feel at the end?
Amazing. Amazing. I don't know what else to say after, you know what I mean? Like, that's really what it is, you know, it's surreal. You know, and I think that's only because of the mentality I've chose to have. Because there's a lot of people that have more than I do, and there's a lot of people that have less than I do. You know, when I sit here and try and like, and I'm not grateful for something, you know, I reach down and feel my pulse, and like, you know, I'm alive.
Would you change anything?
No. There's a point in your life, I think, that you should try and strive to make that question make you nervous. You know, at this point in my life, how happy I am, where I'm at, everything, I don't want to change one thing because I barely made it through anyway.
And that, I mean, that's where I'm at too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I get that question all the time. Would you change anything in your life? And I'm like, no.
Nope.
Because if I change one thing, I'm not going to be where I'm at right now.
Out of the 99 routes, I probably picked the only one that I'm still alive in.
Yep.
So.
Like I said earlier, you hit that fork in the road, man. And you live to tell the tale.
Yep. Absolutely.
And life is really just a big journey, man. It's like, here we are speaking, talking about it right now. And really, it's only just the beginning.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like, that's tomorrow's a new day. I have no idea what my long-term goals are going to consist of, but I'm looking forward to them.
Every second, every minute, every hour, it all counts.
Yep. Absolutely. Can I drop these mics?
Drop this mic drop.
They look expensive. We shouldn't probably try.
Okay, I'm just gonna wrap this up.
Cool.
Max, it was an honor to have you and tell your incredible story.
Likewise.
I hope nothing but the best for you. I hope that the journey continues. What I mean, it's going to continue.
Well, thanks. Well, hopefully, as we go things along, we'll maybe do this again. You know,
have you back on the podcast
when the next book comes out or something. You know,
we can talk about that. But
yeah.
How's that going for you? Is it? Is it at BAM?
Yeah, we're at BAM again. Here I am.
We're at BAM. Here live. Everybody's listening to the podcast. We got a live audience around us.
Yeah.
Coffee drinkers. Good people here, though, I'll tell you. But this is Chris. I'm signing off. Until next time. Well, actually, before I get off of here. But if you do want to tell your story, don't be afraid. Like I said earlier, don't be afraid to message me. I don't pick, random. You don't have to be anybody. I mean, what am I saying? You can be anybody. I will pick you. It doesn't matter who you are. I will pick you. All you gotta do is reach out to me, and I'll reach back to you. I usually get back within like an hour or so. But until next time, peace.